Okay, thank you. And then now I'm going to pass it over to Tony to give our quick language access announcement.
Buenas tardes con todos. Gracias por estar aquí. Para las personas que quieren escuchar esta reunión en español, en unos momentos van a obtener un icono en la parte inferior de su pantalla. Seleccionarlo y seleccionar el idioma que deseen, el idioma español, y para que puedan escuchar esta conversación en español. Gracias.
Okay, thank you, Tony. So folks want to just take a look at that Zoom toolbar at the bottom and click on the interpretation globe. You can go ahead and select which language you would like to listen into tonight. Okay, and then with that said, I'm going to get us started with roll call for tonight's meeting. So let's see. Nancy Aguirre,
Present.
thank you. Luna Angulo Castro. Okay, well, Marcus absent. Ianad Burrell. Ianad Burrell. Okay, I see Ianad present, so I'm just gonna mark her for now and come back. Marisol Cantu. Okay, Marcus
Present.
absent. Oh, thank you. Got you. Sandra Castaneda. Okay, Marcus absent. Suzanne Coffey. Okay, Marcus absent. Sean Cotton.
Present.
Thank you. Brianna Gastelum.
Here.
Thank you. Michelle Gomez Garcia.
Present.
Thank you. Martha Gruel.
Here.
Thank you. Carrie Guerin. Okay, Marcus absent. Lisbeth Ibarra. Okay, Marcus absent. Jeffrey Kilbreth. Marcus absent. Joseph Kaczynski.
Present.
Thank you. Dr. Omuniyi Omotoso.
Present.
Thank you. Simran Sandhu.
Present.
Thank you. Dave Severy.
Present.
Marcus. Oh, think I heard you. It came in a little
present.
low.
Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. Darabo Shankut.
Present.
Thank you. Samir Shrestha.
Here.
Thank you. Althea Skinner. Okay, Marcus absent. BK White.
Here.
Thank you. And Ariel Shi.
Present.
Okay, thank you, Ariel. And with that, I'll just give a couple more just quick reminders. Since tonight is a virtual meeting, I will just ask that participants keep their mics muted if you're not speaking. And if you would like to speak, just please use the raise hand functions, and Nancy will call on folks in the order that hands are raised and or use progressive stack. Also, just want to encourage if anyone is speaking or providing comment, if you would like to turn on your camera while doing so, that would be great. And then for tonight's meeting, we're also going to use roll call for all action items. And so that'll be for meeting minutes, as well as when we get to the year two implementation plan agenda item. And then lastly, we do have a new Air District staff member that we would like to introduce at tonight's meeting. So I'm going to pass it over to Manny Oliva to introduce himself.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Manny Oliva, and I'm the new manager for community planning in the Planning and Climate Protection Division of the Air District. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I come from the US EPA Region 9 office, where I was leading their environmental justice program. And I just want to express my gratitude to all of you for your leadership on this work. And I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you and working with you and supporting our community. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Manny. And now I'll turn it over to Nancy.
Thank you, Carissa. Okay. I will be on and off video. I have a little congestion, so this is as good as going to get today. So welcome, everyone. And I think, sorry, I'm also having technical difficulties here. So let me just go through the next slide. I'm glad I have this here too. All right, so we went through, sorry, thank you, agenda. As y'all can see, we have 2 action items today, our meeting minutes, and then the proposal from the Air District for Year 2 implementation. We have the liaisons report out, and then the CSC leadership recruitment update. So those of you who are thinking about it, listen up. And then we got a break. The plan over Year 2 overview, next steps, and then of course public comments. Next slide, please. All right. Same as always. Please minimize the background noise as much as possible. Mute your mic. Raise your hand, speak. Say your name before speaking. Um, um, be mindful of Q&A. We do have a 2-minute timer set, and on some of them, there's 1 minute. So, and then as what's happening with me, technology happens. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for being prepared. Thank you for being engaged. One mic, one voice. Of course, we do progressive stack. And for those of you who action items, of course, we need a motion, a second, and then Chris will do those votes. Thank you. Next slide, please. All right, here are our meeting goals. Goal 1, approve the minutes for not just the last November 10th special meeting, but also for our last October 27th meeting. Goal 2 is to hear the report out from our liaisons. There are 4 now that we have. The third goal is to get a presentation on the leadership recruitment process. Of course, we'll discuss that more. And then our last goal for this evening is to hear the presentation on Year 2 implementation plan. We'll have discussion on that, and then of course that is an action item which we will be voting on tonight. Next slide, please. All right, and this is our recap, which I will pass to Laura. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Yeah, so we're in December, our last meeting of the year. And you all have seen this, but just to kind of take it in April, we talked about flaring and we had the just transition plan of action. In May, we did the community benefits plan of action and had a presentation from our legal division. June was a presentation from Community Investments Office, and we had a Community Benefits Standing Committee presentation that month too. July was the wonderful CSC workshop on just transition. August, we reflected on Year 1 so far and got an update from compliance and enforcement on their targeted inspection program. In September, we finalized the Year 1 annual report. And then last month in October, you all discussed Year 2 implementation. And then October was 2 months ago. November, we had the meeting online for just transition principles, and then the comment letter that went to the Community Investments Office guidelines public comment period. So here we are in December, and looking forward to the items that we have today. I can pass it back to Nancy.
Great, thank you, Laura. All right, so we're gonna move towards the approval of the meeting minutes for October 27th and November 10th. Next slide, please. All right, so are there any questions or discussions or edits for the meeting minutes for either October 27th or November 10th from RCSE? Do you see any, Carissa, that I just see everyone not muting, so I'm assume there are no questions or edits or discussions. Okay, next slide, please.
Yeah, Nancy, correct on my end. There were no raised hands for the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Any public comment on those minutes on the special session, November, or our regular CSC, October 27th?
Also, do not see any hands from the public side.
Awesome. Hearing none. Next slide, please. Oh, go back. Sorry, I'm used to an action slide there. Thank you. So I will entertain a motion. I see your hand, Dr. Omatoso.
Yeah, motion to approve CSC meeting minutes for October 27th and November 10th.
Awesome. Do I hear a second?
I'll second. Joe
Great.
Kaczynski.
Thank you, Joe. All right. Carissa, we have our motion from Dr. Omatoso, a second from Joe. So if we can get a roll call vote, please.
Okay, perfect. And then everyone should know the drill. You can vote yes, no, or you can abstain from voting to approve the minutes for our October meeting and our November 10th meeting. So Nancy Aguirre,
Yes.
thank you. Ian Burrell,
Yes.
thank you. Marisol Cantu,
I need,
Yes.
okay. Suzanne Coffey, Sean Cotton,
Yes.
thank you. Brianna Castellum,
yes.
thank you. Michelle Gomez Garcia,
Yes.
thank you. Martha Gurel,
Yes.
okay. Lisbeth Ibarra, Jeffrey Kilbreth,
Yes.
thank you. Joseph Kaczynski,
Yes.
thank you. Dr. Omoniyi Omotoso,
Yes.
thank you. Simran Sandhu,
Yes.
okay. Dave Severy,
Yes.
thank you. Darabo Shankut,
Yes.
thank you. Samir Shrestha,
Yes.
thank you. Althea Skinner, okay. And Ariel Shi.
Yes.
Okay, great. And with that, the minutes pass, and I'll pass it back to you, Nancy.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right. Let's see the next slide, please. All right. CSE liaisons report out. All right. I hope all of you are ready. We have several of you presenting today. Next slide, please. Thank you. Refinery Committee's bi-monthly meeting group. I believe we have BK who will be walking us through this. This is BK and Lisbeth, our liaisons. I will pass it to BK.
Thank you, Nancy. We haven't had a meeting since we reported out on the October 21st. We do have a meeting tomorrow at 1:30, so we'll be reporting out the next meeting. This meeting should cover um, our district community investment office presentation, and we'll be talking about renewable refining. That's all for me.
Great, thank you so much. Next slide, please. Oh, um, sorry, I just noticed we didn't have a question slide, and I think we're gonna see if anyone had any questions for BK and Lizbeth before we move forward. Sorry, move back one slide, please. Anyone have any questions? No new changes, just wondering if there are any questions. Seeing no hands. We'll move forward. Okay, next slide. Refinery Technical Working Group, and our liaisons here are Jeff and Carrie. So I will pass it to our liaisons, and also next slide. That you, Jeff?
That's me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I had originally reported that, I think everybody may remember this, that this group's sort of primary charter was flaring. And it's very good. It's a very good meeting because it really has, it's the majority of the people are from the refineries. So that's a very interesting dynamic to get a sense of everybody's different opinions and different issues. The refineries are not all the same. And but this last meeting on October 29th was on air monitoring, and particularly fence line, and community air monitoring. So I guess what I would say is it made it clear that there's a lot of issues here associated partly with amendments to Rule 1215, and partly to be really more about operations. As many people know, the Chevron fence line monitoring system is down a lot, is oftentimes shows no readings at all. In other words, no detectable pollution. And so there's a lot of issues. In other words, the BACMD system at 7th and Rumrill is much more consistent, stable, and easier to understand than the Chevron system. So Chevron's having a big meeting on Thursday where they're going to explain, along with their contractor, what their plans are to improve the fence line monitoring system. But I guess what I would say is I think it's a real good thing we made this an issue that we wanted to be involved with, because there's issues such as what pollutants do we monitor? Why? Why are we monitoring the ones we are monitoring? And is it more important to get good sampling, or is it more important to get continuous feeds? There are a lot of interesting questions here that I think anybody who's got the time to dive in, will enjoy themselves.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Really quick, any questions for this report out from our CSC members? All right, we're looking forward to hear about that Thursday meeting, Jeff. Thank you so much. All right, next slide, please. Okay, Rule 1118. And again, this is Lizbeth and BK. Next slide. And then am I passing this to Lizbeth or BK?
I think Lizbeth, I'm not sure if she's here. I can take it.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a 1118 meeting coming up. There was a poll sent out on November the 19th, and I don't know if enough people responded to BACMD that they could nail down the date. But there were several dates starting from 12/15 to I think like January the 4th or something like that. January the 14th. So once we have the meeting, we'll report out, but we haven't had any. That's it for me.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. I see one hand. Jeff?
I have two questions. One, is that meeting set yet?
No, sir, Jeff, it's not. There was a
Okay.
poll sent out, but I don't know if people responded or not.
Okay, well, will you put out an email to make sure that we get some lead time?
Yes, I will, as soon as I find out.
Okay, and then my other question was, has there been any news at all of any kind about the Chevron HRA?
Uh, there was talk, it's supposed to be a release. Once I get that, I'll send it to the group.
Well, I mean, like when?
Once I get a hard copy of it.
Oh, I mean, does it exist? I guess what
I
I mean
believe
is when should we expect we're going to be able to see a draft HRA for Chevron?
I'll leave that to Backman to answer because someone from Backman answer that one.
Yeah, great question. I see a hand, Aaliyah.
Hi, yes, I'm happy to share an update on that. So we're targeting Q1 2026. It's in progress right now, and yeah, that's what we're aiming for, and we'll certainly keep our liaisons posted as more progress is made and we have a definitive date. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. Great questions. Any other questions from the CSC before we move on this? All right. See none. Next slide, please. All right. Legal Enforcement Working Group. All right. I know our liaison here is Sean. So next slide, please. And I will pass it to Sean.
Thank you, Nancy. No real updates yet. We discussed the legal enforcement tools available to the Bay Area Air District in our first meeting. We didn't actually go through everything that we were supposed to. So we'll be doing the second half of the legal enforcement tools in the legal enforcement process and basically how the Air District seeks penalties for violations of their regulations. We also got sent an Air District permit list if anybody is interested. It's basically a list of all of the permitted facilities within the Air District's borders. And we were also sent an example of a notice violation for a company in Redwood City just to give us an example of how things are processed. And that's about it.
Great. Thank you, Sean. Any questions for this report out from our CSC? All right. Seeing none, we'll continue to the next slide, please. All right. Overall questions or added discussion? If there's something pressing, you can also put it in the chat and the Air District, our staff will get back to us with whatever specific questions we might have. Seeing none, I'm going to pass, next slide, please. Okay, public comment, our beautiful public, anything you would like to share with us here? I will listen for Bertha if she sees any public comment hands.
No hands on the public comment side, Nancy.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, we're just running through it today. Okay, next slide, please. I love when we're ready to go. All right, Dr. Matoso, CSC Leadership Recruitment Update. This is all you, sir. I pass it to Dr. Matoso.
Thank you very much, Nancy, and good evening, everyone. It's a little overdue in terms of recruitment, and so we're trying to kind of catch up on things. So we'll kind of go over what the leadership role looks like and kind of the process, and we'll take questions afterwards. Next slide, please. So according to, the governance ad hoc, we have a self-nomination process. And so if you're interested in this leadership role, you can nominate yourself. There will be a form as I'll go into further details later on. And the idea is that we're going to use this for all our lead recruitments. And the idea is to having 2-year terms. non-consecutive. So after 2 years, we have to transition to a new leadership team. And then after 2 years, you might come back and self-nominate for another term. And so only voting CSE members can serve as the leads. And at the last transition, we revised what we wanted to get done, especially as we move into implementation. And this election, of course, is voted on by the voting members of the CSE. And so the current lead terms for Marisol, Nancy, and I ends March 2026. And that would be when the new leads will kind of take over from us. Next slide. So going to our charter section 4.4, leadership committee duties, kind of going through some of the main areas. The leads share responsibility for developing the meeting agendas, like tonight's meeting, facilitating the meetings, like Nancy's doing today, and also for CSE membership engagement. And so that includes things like the check-ins we do with CSE members, the one-on-ones as well. We also serve as liaisons and also guide facilitators of any standing committees and ad hocs. And so we support the co-facilitators of the different standing committees as well. And then we also work with the facilitators to ensure that they're fulfilling their SERP goals, especially when it comes to standing committees and their plans of action. We also help to create a process for regularly assessing how participation is going and accountability, not just among CSE members, but also among facilitators and co-leads as well, and provide feedback, as timely as possible. Next slide. Another is participation in meetings and facilitation. And so the leads meet with the Air District staff bi-weekly, so twice a month, to kind of help structure and coordinate CSE meetings and overall preparation for any kind of meetings or activities we do. So we're closely working with them with operation, distribution of the materials, and we also help, for example, if we have to create particular pre-reads, we help to also help review those or edit those as well. We also help to organize the agendas for the ad hoc and standing committees, working with the facilitators of the standing committees themselves, and also, going over agenda like today's meeting or the special meeting we did last month. In addition to that, after each CSE meeting, like tonight, we also have a debrief meeting with the district staff where we kind of assess how the meeting tonight went and kind of what we can learn from it and what we could do better at subsequent meetings. So we make sure we're continuing to engage CSE members with the meetings and make sure the meetings run effectively as well. Next slide. So other parts of our responsibility, like I said, engaging with CSE members, is that we try to be very responsive and timely. So whenever we're emailed or communicated about anything, we try and respond. Our goal is to respond within 72 hours. And so which is one of the reasons why we always ask you to email all three of us, so that in case anyone is out or busy, someone can at least respond to you and provide you kind of a follow-up. In addition, the leads also meet with CSE members who have been missing steering committee meetings to make sure we kind of better assess what their capacity is to help serve on the CSE and also what kind of support they might need to help them be able to actively participate as well. And so this is something we do on as a needed basis. Another role, just in general, in terms of all these roles, we're expected to spend probably about 8 or 10 additional hours of service per month on this role. And you do, of course, get a stipend for that lead work as well. Next slide. So this kind of shows you the process that we've kind of outlined as how we're going to do the self-nomination process. So today was more to give information about, what the requirements are based on our charter and what's been going on. And then we're going to open up applications for self-nominations the first week of January on the 5th. And they'll run for a week. So that way people can fill out the templates online. And also we have instructions as well, which the Air District will send ahead of time. And then on the 11th, when the application closes a week later, the Air District staff will check to make sure the applications are complete. Anyone that has any missing things, they will contact them to make sure they can kind of provide that information. And then at that point, the applications will be reviewed. And so At the same time, we're going to share the applications with the CSE members so that everyone can get a chance to look at them and review them as well. And then also submit questions. So we'll have like a Q&A discussion session where all the self-nominated candidates will have a chance to answer the same questions that you have selected for them to answer. And so during this time, they'll be able to answer all the questions. Everyone will have the same set of questions so that this is transparent and a fair process. And then after that is done, we're going to ask for voting for the 3 new CSE leads. And so what happens is there will be a tally sheet process. Based on the feedback we got from the last transition period, we're going to instead this time use a tally process so that those with the highest ranked scores will then be moved forward for the CSE to elect on a slate form as a yes, no, or abstain, which is, quite a departure from the previous process where we did an in-person roll call. Next slide. Thank you. And I'll pass it back to Nancy to facilitate any discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Matoso. Okay, so questions, discussion. We have so much information to share. We're happy to talk about it. Do I see any hands? I see Ianad. Thank you, Ianad, for getting us started. Go right ahead.
Hello, everyone. Can each of you share what your experience has been, highs, lows, indifference, good, all the things? So each of you, if you take maybe a minute or so, or whatever time allows, what has it been? What are some of the things that are forthcoming that potential candidates should consider? What are some strengths that possibly need to be built into what's coming down the pike over the next couple of years? All those kinds of things. Thanks.
Great question. Thank you, Ianad. Dr. Matoso, Marisol, who would like to start us off?
I can get started. Yeah,
All right, great.
I think for one, it was helpful changing the structure to have 3 leads instead of 2, given the amount of work. And also as we're moving to implementation, we have ad hoc standing committees, liaisons. And so it's provided an opportunity to have better support kind of to do the work so that we feel like we're able to divide the work, in some fashion. And I think what worked well for us is we've also set it up in a way. If you notice, we rotate who facilitates the meetings, who joins the different standing committees. And I think that's helped us to get a better balance so that we don't feel so stretched. I also think it's allowed us to, in some ways, get a better understanding of kind of implementation on our plan and what the process looks like, not just from our perspective, but also the Air District standpoint as well. And I think that's very helpful because I have a much deeper understanding of the process and the plan and how we're trying to carry it out. It also allows you to help prioritize and advocate for what we need to focus our resources on, which I think is very important as well. Like the special meeting we had, just last month, those kind of things, it gives us a way to be able to actively or proactively kind of try and address things in a timely fashion. So I think, yeah, that's kind of, I think, the big pluses of kind of stepping into this role. I'll pause and pass it on back to Nancy.
Thank you. Sol, do you want to go next? I'll give her a minute to come on. I'll go ahead and piggyback after Dr. Matosa. I would say exact same thing. One thing I would like to say is that Sol and Dr. O and I really made it, and this is what I really loved about working these past 2 years with my colleagues is we really came together at the beginning to talk about what our strengths were, what like I am not an email person. Dr. O is the email guy. So we just already knew if we didn't get it, he was going to get it before us, kind of thing, right? And so we really laid out how we work, what works for us, what we're passionate. We talked about how the three of us are and how we work in groups so that we can support each other in all the different aspects of leading the CSC, right? And I think the other part there that I really felt was important, and so anyone who um, considers moving forward, I would suggest following that idea of finding out what is it about the CSC that you're not just passionate about, but that you know that this is what you want to help move forward, right? So, for example, for me, what I wanted to make sure to move forward in my as a co-lead was to ensure that we were community based, like that the air district was thinking outside of their governmental agencies, right? Because we're community based and just ensuring that we are like going in the right direction with implementation and that we still have our voice and all of that. And I think that was extremely helpful because like Soul has been like she's a master expert. That's what I call her. I call her the master expert of um refinery because that was like that's what she did in the plan. And so having her advocacy and her network was really helpful. Like that was her strength in helping us move forward, right? Having Dr. Omotoso knowing that he was, a physician and the health focus on everything and the way that his brain sees things because as a physician, I don't even know how to explain it me how you can just see boom boom how you can just see like detail in a way that I can't see. I was like the big vision person. So that would be like my highlight. My highlights would be getting together, working well, learning those processes, and really getting to know all of you and being your voice, like talking with some of you, getting to know what you're doing or what was important to you has been really good for me to be sure that as we guide our group through implementation, I can ensure that whatever we've discussed gets pushed forward for you. So that's been my thing is ensuring that you all have been heard and that whatever has come up gets gets seen or validated. Those would be the highs for me. Um, Lows, I won't lie to tell you that there are a lot of emails, and we do have quite a bit of meetings the production to get our meetings moving. There are a lot of moving pieces, but again, um, that is just, there's a lot, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. I'm gonna see if Soul is available to give her 2-minute feedback on Ian's question.
If not, Nancy, I can talk about the challenges
Okay, go right
in the
ahead.
meantime.
Yes,
Yeah, like
thank you.
Nancy said, yeah, because we're kind of the go-between in a way. So there is a ton of email that we have to filter through. And I think one of the things which we've worked on is also a lot of the materials you see in the meetings, we've done a lot of revision of it, especially the pre-reads, initially. And so that's kind of the background work that the leads had to do is make sure that the material we're getting at the meetings is something that is easily digestible by CSE members, you know, and it's a way that they can understand and appreciate. And so that's a lot of stuff we've done in the background that, has helped improve the process over time. Also, I think in terms of meetings, yeah, I was surprised at how much meetings we had to do to prepare for the CSC meeting. It does take up a lot of time. And I'm also excited that we're proposing changing the format for the coming year, because I think that will free up time for the new leads to focus more on supporting the facilitators of standing committees and actually doing the work rather than preparing for CSC meetings. So I think that change will help kind of create a little more space to focus on those things a bit. Because I feel at times I was kind of running around trying to keep up with all the things going on in a way, you know. I'll pass it back to Nancy now. Thanks.
Great, thank you. And I'll wait to see when Soul pops on. I know she's usually in class, so she might be in between.
Hi,
Iana, you
this
have
is
another question?
yes. Dr. Nee, can you talk more about that structure that you mentioned is changing that can potentially free up time? And the second question, can one of you share what it is? I think there are a couple of milestones that are happening over the next 24 months. Can you be specific and share with everyone what those milestones are so these potential leads are clear what those projects look like? I know off top we are we still haven't done the workshop for the community benefits. So I know that is something. And what is the potential timeline for that? So folks who are interested in this role know that that's something that's coming up fairly soon. One. Two, Dr. Nee, if you can talk about that new structure that you said is going to free up time. And three, what are the other milestones that need to be worked on and met over the next 24 months that these leads will need to lead? Pun intended. Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, I can't really speak to the milestones because, we have a proposal for year two that, we have to discuss later on today. And that's probably going to also influence what year three looks like. So I don't have definite milestones necessarily, at this point that I would say. What I was describing was, for example, for today's meeting, we meet twice a month with the air district. So we have a meeting, to prepare for the meeting, today, revise the agenda, have a more detailed one, and then we also have to review the slide deck for the meeting. And then we have a second meeting where we kind of review any particular, agenda items that are coming up, any updates we need to make, things that have come up that we feel need to be added, how we, logistically do that within the 2-hour time frame, or if we need to extend the meeting. And then we have another meeting to do a dry run prep for the CSC meeting today. And then tomorrow we'll have another meeting to do a debrief from today's meeting as well. And then when we meet again in a week or two, we'll be planning the next month's meeting. So what I mean is that by us proposing a move to quarterly CSC meetings, instead of having to do that every month, you're going to be doing that, once every 3 months in a way. So that more time you have meeting, you can dedicate it to actually the standing committee work and moving implementation plan rather than prepping for every month's meeting. That's what I mean, is that time you won't have to spend as much time prepping because the meetings are only every 3 months in a way.
Yeah, I think thank you, Dr. Oh, sorry, cold. As you see my blankie, I'm cold. One of the things I think what we have to think about as we move forward in the next 24 months with the year two implementation going into year three, really as co-leads, it is really, like I tell you every meeting, the Air District knows how I feel because we work closely with our staff. They've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly with me. Okay. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it for them or for any of you. Really, it's continuing to keep the Air District accountable to our plan and to what we said in our plan in the SERP of what we want to see happen. The partnerships that we talked about, whatever it is that we happen to be working on. So, for example, you brought up the community benefits standing committee, and they are just now getting their CIO is now getting out to the different areas, and we really, as you're not experienced a little bit of this with the standing committee, is really worked on keeping the air district accountable, on keeping us in the loop, ensuring that we got whatever information that we needed to get. And again, that's just one example, right? Um, Also with like the just transition standing committee with the workshop, right? They were really great in supporting, but there were just some things that was not community centered, right? Where that we get to keep them accountable on what it looks like and how we move it, and also how to get just transition principles within, we're still working on how to incorporate all of that and what that can look like. And that's not just, the co-lead said this, this is what the CSC has written, this is what CSC has talked about. How are we implementing that in? How are we creating that partnership? How are we having a seat at the table that we help to create, right? And so that as co-leads, that is something that you all, the new co-leads, get to look at it, how they would like to move that forward with the voice of the CSC, with what we decide to do and have, and the understanding that, hey, this moves forward with the CSC's action to say yes, to vote on it. So I hope that kind of helps. So going forward, how will community benefits start looking like as we move forward? What will refinery, these rules, 1118, the 12, all of those coming into play? Like, how will all of that move forward within our plan, within those processes that we had laid out for partnership with the community, with CBOs, for CAC, with us? I hope that helps explain a little bit about the miles, the idea of the milestones that may be up and coming. You know, any other questions or discussions?
Nancy,
Nope.
just shouting out that I don't see any hands right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Um, oh, I don't know if Soul is back or is available to give her input, but that could be something that we follow up with on an email. If we could just put that in the notate that.
Yeah, thanks, Nancy. Yeah, and we're available also for people to reach out to us to talk more if you're interested in the role, about what it looks like, and get some advice too as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us to talk more about it offline. Thank you.
Thank you all. Great questions. Next slide, please.
One more thing I forgot to
Oh,
add,
go ahead.
Nancy.
Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
also, we have a transition plan in place. So the new leads don't start. Our goal is to have some lead time to actually help them catch up with where things are and how things work already before they take over. So there's a plan for transition, and onboarding. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. O. Yes, we're not just going to throw you in and say swim. We have stepping stones for you. Next slide, please. Yeah. And we are available to talk with you and whatever you all may need to know or want to know. Public comment. We have any public people out there?
No hands on the public side, Nancy.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Break. Woo, 10 minutes. All right. Let's take a break. We will see you all. It is 6:23. So we will see everyone at 6:33. Thank you.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. Since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought some corn for popping. The lights are turned down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you'll really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. As long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. He doesn't care if it's 10 below. He's sitting by the fire's cozy glow. He don't care about the cold and the winds that blow. He just says, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Let it snow. Ooh-wee goes the storm. Why should he worry when he's nice and warm? His gal by his side and the lights turn low. He just says, let it snow, let it snow. I don't care. The weather outside is frightful, but that fire is delightful. Since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought lots of corn for popping. The lights are way down low, so let it snow, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally say goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you'll only hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbye. Long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where those treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow, the snow. But then I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. I said I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where those treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. Said I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright, and may your Christmases be white.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. To sing a love song while we stroll along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman. We'll pretend that here's Parson Brown. He'll say I am married, we'll say no man, but you can do the job when you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire, to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. can build a snowman. We'll pretend that he is Parson Brown. We'll say, are you ready? We'll say, no, man. But you can do the job when you're in town. Later on, we'll conspire as we dream by the fire. The face unafraid, the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You've been doing this for a while when you're like, yeah, a fireplace is great, but what about the pollution that it causes? I'm like, yeah, I want to dream by the fire, but could we make it electric? Thanks. I don't know if y'all think like that too, but that the random thoughts in Nancy's head. Okay. All right. Welcome back. Next slide, please. All right. So a little Kiki Keen before we get into this year two implementation plan overview. This is an action item, so we will be voting on this at the end, but there's a lot of space for discussion. So I am going to pass it on to Laura for her to guide us through this. Thank you, Laura.
Thanks, Nancy. All right, next slide. Okay, so for this item, we're going to cover what's the purpose of an implementation plan? What are the year two priority actions that the CSC selected? What are the roles and responsibilities and the implementation framework for moving into year two? Then we can have a discussion and you all can vote. Next slide. Okay, so the implementation plan purpose. Implementation plan is designed to provide a roadmap for the Air District and the CSC to help action implementers get on the same page about priorities, expectations, and next steps, and to support alignment in plan implementation. And it does this in a few ways. First, by identifying and prioritizing actions for year two, by describing implementation roles, and then outlining a framework for implementation and CSC engagement. Next slide. Okay, so starting with year two priority actions, I want to recap kind of how we got here. So the process was to reassess the CSC's priorities by reflecting on the year one priority actions and the levels of engagement. And during the October CSC meeting, thank you, Mossam, for doing an outstanding job with that meeting. I watched the recording more than once. So thanks again for that. But you all discussed modifications to the engagement definitions, right? What are those levels of engagement and how should they be defined? And then you participated in an activity to determine your two action priorities using the KISS framework. So do you keep it on the priority list from year one and keep it at the same level? Improve, do you keep it on the list but update the engagement level to something more accurate to what you think it should be? Start, do you add something new to the priority list and select the engagement level? And then stop. Is there anything that should be, taken off or moved? Next slide. So we'll start with the updated engagement definitions. And what we did basically is from October and all the discussions leading up to that, we took what we heard from you and worked with the leads to come up with what you're seeing here on these slides and in the draft plan. So in terms of the updated engagement definitions, you'll see a couple of changes here. Smallest one on the left is the informed. It used to be 15 days, updated it to 14 just to kind of round it out to 2 exact weeks. But the biggest change I think that you'll see is the involved definition, right? So there's quite a bit of discussion around involve versus collaborate with. And based on what we heard during that discussion, and discussions after October. What we've got here is an updated definition of involved that incorporates the aspects of collaborated with in a way that feels what we tried to get felt more accurate to what you felt it meant in reality. So for plan implementation, you'll see here in the blue, we added in the bits about using liaisons or being involved through a standing or ad hoc committee. And then you'll see that NCSC participation as well, with respect to forming a standing or ad hoc committee with a plan of action and facilitators. So this would be the updated engagement definitions that are in that draft plan that you all received to review. And we kind of highlighted that here for you in blue. Next slide. Okay, year 2 action priorities. So based on that KISS discussion, where it seemed like things ended up was with 20 actions prioritized for year 2. So 8 of those actions would be the same ones from year 1, kept at the same level. And you'll see for anything that was collaborate with, if it's now involved, we just set that was the same level, right? Because they're now combined into one definition. And then there are 8 actions from year 1 that have been improved to a different level. So you'll see here in the yellow, some of them were moved from consulted to involved based on your discussion. One was moved from involved to consulted, and a couple were moved from consulted to just staying informed on those items. Then here on the right, there are 4 new priority actions that are added to that list based on the discussion. And those, I'll spend a little bit more time on them, are fuel refining 3.13 on the refinery fence line and community air monitoring programs, fuel refining 4.2 on prioritizing implementation of Rule 1118 for Chevron, compliance and enforcement 1.2 on the targeted investigations of facilities of community concern, and then mobile 1.4 evaluating a magnet source or indirect source rule. Next slide. Okay, so these next slides have all of the 20 priorities by engagement level. So you can see them here, and we have the implementer as well. So for involved, you have 10 actions. Fuel finding 1.1 and 1.2 on just transition, since that is a top priority. Fuel refining 2.2 on communications around flaring and incidents. 2.6, the flaring rule amendments. Then we have that newly added 3.13 on the fence line and community air monitoring. We've got fuel refining 3.8, the legal enforcement approaches, which we have the working group and liaison for. We've got the community benefits policy and the standing committee around community benefits. We've got fuel refining 4.1 on amending Rule 1118, and then 4.2, which is the Chevron implementation for 1118. And then lastly, the co-development and implementation of an annual implementation plan, which we're taking that last step on today. Next slide. Okay, for consulted, we've got 4 actions here. So that's the targeted investigations of facilities of community concern, the fuel refining 2.1 action on strengthening the industrial safety ordinance. Then we have the action around emission reductions from cargo handling equipment, and then the newly added indirect source or magnet source rule. Next slide. And then we've got 6 here for informed. So those are actions where you still wanted to, be informed when there's things that are happening, but for whatever reason, they either got adjusted or kept at that informed level. And that includes the dust white paper and dust amendments, an action around the West Contra Costa County landfill, metal recycling source evaluation, fuel refining 3.5 on the expediting the notice of violation resolution process, which that's in more of like a maintenance state now. And then fuel refining 5.1 on implementing Rule 6.5. And lastly, reducing exposure to wood burning. All right, next slide. Okay, so another section of the implementation plan covers implementation roles. And for that, if there's anywhere else that already existed that had information on roles, we tried to just, briefly cover that and then reference that other location. So you'll see that there's references to the vision and principles, which has a lot of information, as well as the CSC charter and participation agreement. And then we also have some of our standing committee plans of actions that have some information, direction on roles and responsibilities. And then this graphic here kind of covers how you see things as a whole picture combined, right? So we have the steering committee that's supported by Air District staff. Then we have our general membership and the roles and rules associated with that. We have our CSC leads. We have our liaisons, which that was a new addition for this implementation plan. And then the standing and ad hoc committees. Next slide. Okay, so the year two implementation framework. How did we get here for that, right? So in October, there was that proposal put forward with an updated framework. And that was based on several things. It was reflections on year one, right? Which that was not a singular point in time when you all reflected on year one. That was multiple times over many months. It was also results from the October pre-meeting survey that went out, and then your breakout group discussions in October, as well as leads feedback. And the implementation framework in the year two implementation plan really builds on key themes of CSC reflection. And that includes stronger collaboration, clearer communication, and deeper engagement, as well as what we heard loud and clear was ample opportunity for consistent and meaningful CSC involvement. Next slide. So in terms of the objectives that this framework is meant to accomplish, this is very familiar to what you've already seen. So everyone seemed to be pretty on board with these objectives for the next year, which is to receive updates and share CSC feedback from the various implementers, to align on implementation planning, what we're doing now, to reflect on implementation process mid-year, be able to respond to emerging issues and opportunities, represent the Path to Clean Air in regional working groups, and dive deep into priority topics of interest. And then you'll see we also did add one more item here from CSC input, which was to support communication and engagement with the greater Path to Clean Air community. Next slide. Okay, so in terms of the implementation framework forums, this is all pretty familiar to you too from what was shown in October, but calling out in bold here some of the places where those themes of feedback, you'll see them showing up throughout this framework. So for CSC meetings, they are proposed to be quarterly with up to 2 special meetings added on to that per year as needed. They'll include standing report outs, and that will have additional implementers being able to report out, not just the liaisons, right? Broadening that a bit. And including, enough time for questions and answer and discussion, depending on what the topic is and what the interest is. They'll also provide consistent updates from the Air District. So we've built in an annual compliance and enforcement presentation, an annual legal presentation, and an annual rules presentation. And that's a framework where we could build some consistency year to year. For the standing and ad hoc committees, they'll continue to advance the plans of action, and that will support greater communication and engagement with the community. The meeting structure and needs for those are determined by the committee, and there are up to 2 of those at a time supported by the Air District. Next slide. Air District working groups. So if we need this and want this, we're thinking extra time as needed for liaison report outs and discussion, and that could help support stronger communication and engagement, right? When you need to dive in, want to dive in, that's something that we could build on from the feedback that we've heard. And then also the ability to identify opportunities for other interested CSC members to participate. Where can there be some collaboration with the liaisons to help support greater CSC engagement? And then topical meetings. So topical meetings can provide the ability to be more agile, more responsive. They the use of these would be building on positive feedback that we heard from all of you about working in smaller groups. They can provide additional space to really dig in on a given topic or effort, and they can support two-way discussions and direct communications, right? Sometimes we hear, hey, we're being presented at, right? Like, let's get a bit more back and forth here, an actual discussion. So by doing that, hopefully that can strengthen our collaborative relationships, and that could be done by something like an office hour or a working session, right? And they can also be used to help prepare for effective participation in other forums, right? Do you need to have a pre-meeting? I know that your leads have offered pre-meetings before, certain meetings before, have met with you one-on-one. Those options all kind of fit under this topical meeting definition in the updated framework. Next slide. And then lastly, it doesn't all have to be meetings necessarily, right? We have written communications. And so the goal here is really to get community-friendly materials that are accessible, understandable, and transparent. And the Air District is committed to continually working with the CSC to identify opportunities to improve our communications, both improvements to our existing practices, so things like our pre-reads, any surveys, EJ updates, and other emails, as well as the SERP webpage. And then there's also potential for additional communication opportunities we could look at improvements through. So that could be more learning materials, something like a pre-read or reference material, a link to a past presentation or recording to help prepare for something, as well as coordination materials. So are there shared implementation documents or a shared calendar of upcoming opportunities for engagement that could be provided through this aspect of the framework? Next slide. All right, so putting the year two implementation plan into practice. We've been talking about this framework and the forums, but it can be helpful to look at it a bit more by looking at something more tangible. So quarter one, we have an example here for you of all of the different forums and how that might look from January through February. So March would be the first, fully set full CSC meeting, right, under that quarterly cadence. And as you'll see there, we've got the report outs opportunity from any implementers who might have something important to bring to the table that could get added to the agenda. And then we'd have our annual compliance and enforcement update occurring exactly 1 year after the last one. We've got the CSC standing and ad hoc committees, and right now that's the just transition and standing committee and community benefit. So this visual here is kind of depicting it like continuing as is, right? Like this is the cadence through which those different standing committees can meet. Then we've got our Air District regional working groups. So we've got the refinery technical working group, the legal enforcement group, the 1118 group, and you'll see that they are trying to get their meeting scheduled for January, as BK shared. And then the refinery communities bi-monthly meetings. So you can see those kind of how often those are happening throughout the 3 months. Then in terms of topical working sessions, so the leads recruitment process, right? There's a Q&A for the nominees, and that could be done through a topical meeting where anyone that wants to attend can come, listen in, have that Q&A session. Then we've got a couple of things that we can like reasonably anticipate are happening in Q1, but we don't have an exact set date for them. So you'll see this hashtag around it. But there will be rule concepts for the Rule 1215 refinery fence line rule updates. We also have the flaring rule amendments concept paper coming up, as well as opportunity to give feedback on flaring 101 materials. And then, as things pop up, right, this is the agile and responsive category. If something pops up and it's important, we can convene around that and have discussions. And then lastly, the written communications with our EJ updates on a regular basis, any other emails, and our pre-reads ahead of meetings. So next slide. Okay, so this is, as Nancy said, an action item. So you would be able to vote to approve the year two implementation plan. for that action item. But first, of course, we want to allow room for questions and discussion. So that's the next slide, I believe. Okay. Nancy, do you want to field these? And then we'll answer as.
Yes, we could do
Thanks.
that. So, yeah, so Ian, go ahead for questions
Thank
for
you.
Laura.
Thank you. A couple of questions. Before the first one, can you remind me of the date that the new leadership will be selected?
I don't think we have that fully set yet when exactly the vote would be, but the new leadership would come in March, right? I don't know if anyone wants to chime in with any more detail there, but we have to figure
Okay.
out the actual date for like a vote.
Okay. With that, I heard there's some onboarding. So is the onboarding happening after March or before?
Yeah, so loosely, and when we're talking co-leads with Air District, loosely, we're looking at there would be some kind of um voting happening in and around March for new leadership, and onboarding would go through from March into April. We know that we're going to overlap a little bit on when we finally come off and when new co-leads come on. Because our concern is we want to ensure the work doesn't stop and that we are still all on the same page as we offboard and new leadership on boards. So as of right now, and Nee, I don't know if you want to chime in. As of right now, we are not looking at any kind of voting before March.
Okay. Will the community benefits workshop be complete and done before new leadership?
That's a great question.
Well, that's extremely crucial, period.
Mm-hmm.
Just full stop.
Yeah, was
So
as
how can we know now before we go into the new year, before folks are putting in their applications? When will the community benefits workshop be put on the calendar, outreach done, all the things done, and it happens? The
well
biggest con
as you and Dr. Martosa, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
the biggest concern is we're excited about new leadership and all the things. The the way this is going, at least what I'm hearing, this could be a workshop that now happens in September. And that is just absolutely
No,
unacceptable.
no. Yes, I hear that, and that is not where we will be wanting that to move. As you and Dr. Amatoso are the co-facilitators for the community benefit standing committee, just because Dr. Amatoso may not, will not be continuing as co-lead, he will still be co-facilitator with you on the standing committee. Even though we have new leadership, those who are on the standing committees are still working on their plan of action. So I'm in agreement with you. We're not trying to push anything off any farther down than they need to be. And that is a great question. I will actually pass it to Dr. Amatoso if he has any insight or would like to, as a co-facilitator with you, like to add in to the conversation or the question. Dr. O?
Yeah, like Nancy said, yeah, the standing committee work doesn't pause because of the leadership transition. It's not tied to the transition. So it shouldn't impact the timeline. No.
Okay, and I know Jeff has his hand up, and I know this is going to be a vote. If this goes into quarterly meetings, that is that concern I'm talking about. So this almost has to happen before. If there's a yes vote on this in the majority and we go into quarterly, I'll just stop there. Thank you.
No, thank you. That's exactly the co-leads we're talking about and why we're bringing it up to the steering committee so that we can have even more discussion on that. Thank you. Jeff?
Well, I just wanted to, I have a question, but I wanted to ask Inad to clarify something to make sure we understand exactly what she's telegraphing. Um, is your number one worry that that having quarterly CSC meetings would not allow us to react quickly enough if something really goes, off the rails, or, something doesn't happen on schedule, in other words, something that we deem to be an escalation kind of worthy problem. And that without a monthly meeting, we wouldn't be able to act on our concern.
Jeff, overall, not so much. The immediate is the community benefits workshop. We were thrown off for almost 4 or 5 months. That workshop never happened last year as it was supposed to. That had a lot to do with all the things. So now we're going into a whole new year, potentially new leadership. So I won't say that specific, because I think moving forward, yes, they set up to 2 special meetings. We could address it. My immediate concern is this community benefits workshop that was supposed to take place September, October last year. It's nowhere on the radar. We have to restart, retool.
Okay.
January is a wash. It's a new year. So now we're
Yeah.
talking February. Now we have new leadership in March.
In other words, we gotta bring this across the finish line in Q1.
Yes.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so let me just ask my question separately.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Ian. So what about the work involved in these various new things? So just as an example, I'll make it concrete because it's easier. Um, I've just spent 10 hours learning about air monitoring. I now understand it well enough to lead, co-lead, a meeting amongst ourselves to just get everybody up to speed on what the issues are, um, or to write something or whatever. But the point is, it took 10 hours to go deep on that topic, and then it might take, who knows, 5 hours to be part of educating a bunch of people about it all. So is that reimbursable?
Great question. How are our self-reporting hours affected by this new meeting structure, is what I understand you're asking, Jeff?
Yeah.
Excellent. That's a great question.
This is Diana. I can answer that if that helps now, or I can hold off if you want to take up more questions.
Go ahead, Diana. I think that's probably on the top of a lot of people's mind.
Yeah, we would have the same structure we currently have with ad hoc and standing committees in terms of hours. I think that's been communicated. You obviously, your time is covered for the meetings, and I believe in communications that have been sent out, it's up to 3 hours of time that is covered. So that would continue, right? Quarterly CSC meetings, obviously they're stipend meetings, no different than your monthly CSC meetings. Your topical meetings will be stipend because they're up to 1 hour. Your CSC special meetings will also be stipend. And then, you have your regional working groups. And I believe, some will have new ones coming online. I believe you may have received a communication about the fence line monitoring one that will start in January. And I believe the refinery technical working group is going to sunset sometime at the start of the year. I think there's a couple more meetings left at the start of 2026. But that's for Bradley and Victor to communicate to that liaison group. So what I'm saying is you're compensated for your time in all of these meetings. And in terms of the prep work that you do, it's up to 3 hours.
Okay, but the topical meetings, for example, would and you have a notion that a topical meeting would never be more than an hour.
Yeah, the topical meetings, like for example, for your quarterly CSC meetings, right? I believe you're at 2 hours, right? You may want, I think at times we've expanded to 2.5. So that meeting would be within that time. The topical meetings, would be at 1 hour. We wouldn't do topical meetings at 2.5 hours, right? Because it's very concentrated. I believe it would be focused on like one
Yeah,
topic.
no, I mean it should be an hour. I mean, ideally it's an hour. Okay, all right, I understand. So all of that should get put in writing so people know the rules of the game. And I guess my only real point about it personally is from the time you put into putting these meetings together, putting a good educational session together is takes some time and some iteration. And if we're going to be more involved in that, then that has to, on some level, that has to be respected. I think that the Air District sometimes does orientation presentations that don't do the trick, that don't get to the heart of the matter, and that don't meet people where they are and do not give them what they really need. Honestly, I think some of us could do it better, partly because we know the audience better. But at any rate, the real point is that some things don't fit in those numbers and ratios and ideas that you have, and the way that you're trying to manage the budget. And so I guess my only point is if you have a goal to really use topical meetings and quarterly CSC meetings as a way to improve getting the whole CSC up to speed on important issues, whatever ones we pick, then you may need to be a little more flexible, or you need to maybe think a little bit um, about how much time it takes to present and to shape an experience. I mean, it's because it's partly about educational materials, and it's partly about Q&A and interaction. So anyway, that's I think it's all kind of clear. So uh, I support this general, all this general move we're making. Don't interpret this to be negative. I just think that if part of it is busting up some of the air district's ironclad control over agendas and information distribution, shall we say. And if we want better participation, more engagement, more involvement, we're going to have to, change how the PowerPoint slides get built.
Okay, so thank you, Jeff. That was a great question for Iana to get clear on where she's coming from, and I would actually plus one on that. I do not want to see any of our work or plan of actions get pushed because of any meetings to go quarterly. I guess that's a good question to ask the CSC is how do you feel about about quarterly meetings and topical? I mean, any other feedback from anyone? Because I know sometimes, speaking as Nancy Peace, not as your co-lead or facilitator, sometimes it feels like we don't get enough information monthly, and other times it feels like, wow, that was really great. So I'm, you know, just trying to get more feedback. Yes, Ianad.
Hi, can you put the slide back up that shows the cadence?
Yes, we can do that.
Thank you.
Excellent. Anything else, Ianad, before I move on to someone else?
No, if it could stay up, but if it cannot, then I'll just look at my copy.
No, I'm sure it can stay up. There shouldn't be a reason why we can't. Sean, I see your hand.
Yes, just for your feedback that you wanted. I know I said it during last meeting, but I do prefer the monthly meetings. I see why it's more of a hassle to have the meetings monthly due to all the planning and the extra meetings that it provides. Um, but I really do appreciate the monthly meetings, and I think it helps bring us all together, meaning the Air District and the CSC itself. I feel like just working in the government, seeing somebody face to face versus seeing somebody in person seems like it's easier to get a point across sometimes. Um, yeah, also some people might not like Zoom. I know we have some people on the CSC, at least we did before, who didn't necessarily like being on camera on Zoom also. So maybe in person is better for that. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. I will take your 2 cents and make it $1. All right. Ariel, your dollar cents.
Yes, I actually want to second Sean. This year we have monthly meetings, and I feel every meeting our agenda is so packed. Um, so even with monthly meetings, we still feel that we need more time to discuss like more contents. So I just don't know how we can manage all those agendas to pack within like a quarterly meetings. I imagine we will have um, to let a lot of topics just go, let them go. We won't have time to discuss those. And I feel that will be a pity.
Thank you for that.
So that's my $1.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Daru, are we a grandpa? I see your hand up.
Yes, yeah, you saw my hands up. Yeah, that's right. Thank you all, for congratulating me. She is still labor, just for your information. Anyway, in short, I second Ariel's and Sean's opinion without going in detail because as it is, there are so many things in the backlog, and we are really rushing on topics as it is right now. So moving it to 3 months is, I could imagine it would be just piling up. So I just second those two previous suggestions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And keep us posted. We're all excitingly waiting. Okay. Laura, before I have you go, any other CSC members? We're doing progressive stack today on this discussion. Not seeing any CSC hands. Go ahead, Laura, some feedback on some of those concerns.
Yeah. So, okay, a couple of thoughts. I think in October we definitely heard, these concerns, right? And we've done our best to try to address those. But maybe I can try to explain a bit more the ways in which those might be addressed through this draft implementation plan. So first, quarterly meetings plus up to two, right? That's 6 a year. That's bi-monthly, perhaps, right? So that's something we had heard kind of put on the table before was, oh, let's go to every 2 months. So that is kind of within the flexibility of this plan and option, right? And then what I really want to emphasize is, this Q1 is an example, right? And you'll see the TBDs on here for topical working sessions. Like that's not fully filled out, right? So you might have a topic in a monthly full CSC meeting now where it gets cut off. That discussion could keep going, right? And because of time, it's not able to. If you had that as a priority topic and you wanted to have a topical working meeting on that, the idea is that would be able to address that issue, right? You could meet in a smaller group, whoever's interested, right, could attend that, and you could have more of a dialogue about that issue, whether it's just with the CSC because you want it to be that way, or with its if it's with some air district staff there too, because that's what that topic, would require or you desire for that topic. So what do you need a full CSC meeting for? Is kind of that question mark there, right? Like it's a public meeting that's broadcast out. It's for things like voting. It's the full CSC. So trying to help kind of give a couple more examples of how like the diversity of this forum is intended to address some of those concerns. I hope that's helpful, but if there's any questions or anyone has any other comments, please, feel free.
Thank you, Laura. Any other? Yes, Ariel, I see your hand.
So I have two comments, actually one comment and one question. So first of all, I don't feel it's a problem to have public meetings. At CSC, we are public community volunteer organization. I don't know if that's right, but I feel it's perfect fine to have public meetings, and I'm even hoping that we can have more public to join our meetings. Um, so that's one comment. And the second is a question. So you mentioned that we could have small meetings with CSC members. I just don't know how that would work out. I mean, what's the process to um, have those meetings, how to initiate meetings, and how do we clock the time of those meetings and all the small detail things. Thank you.
Yeah, good
Thank you.
questions. First, sorry, I didn't mean to imply it's not good to have a public meeting. Definitely not what I was trying to get across. I think I was just sharing, for certain things like that is a requirement, and for other things, maybe it's easier and faster to have a topical meeting where you can, meet quickly in a small group. But to answer your question, yeah, I think we'll have to figure out exactly what that process is, right? For creating a topical meeting. One example here that you see is the leads recruitment and the nominees Q&A. That's a little bit more of like a tangible thing that we know is going to happen. And that could be a larger group, right? Maybe the full CSC wants to attend and ask questions. That's fine. For other things, it might be that like there's a couple of people who are really interested in 1118 and they want to meet with BK and Lisbeth and talk through a couple of thoughts they had on the 1118 process and where it's at, right? But for convening those meetings, yeah, we'll have to get a process in place for how they get set up, requested, who should be there, that type of thing. I think that's something we can work with the leads on, both the current leads and then as we transition into the next set of leads, them as well. Because there are certain things of like actually implementing this that we need to figure out the exact details of.
Thank you, Laura.
All right. Ianad and then Jeff.
Thank you. I think I remember when we had our last meeting, this was brought up and I suggested bi-monthly, every other month. So it would have been great to have another option. So definitely, this seems like the only option that's presented, but it would have been great to have that other option. And on a separate kind of other note, the slide that was put up around the involved, collaborator, all that, all that. It would have been great to have both slides up so we saw what it was and then what it is now. We know that it's in the deck from last month, but you really want to have, would have been great to have side to side. Thanks.
Thank you, Enad. Jeff?
Um, well, I understand the people feeling that there's too much stuff and that we need the monthly meetings to kind of just keep up with it all. I guess at the end of the day, I do think that because this is a public meeting and has to observe a bunch of protocols, uh, and that it is. I mean, all I can say is we've never had a conversation more than 30 minutes long on any actual subject. I mean, like an improve the AB 617 world. In other words, we're putting too many topics into a 2 hour agenda, some of which are purely procedural and process. But the net result of it is no content issue like air monitoring or 1118 or the right way to do community benefits or nothing ever gets even 30 minutes. 20 minutes is more like it. And I think that we pay a real price for that in terms of people don't get to go deep. So me personally, I think that the benefit of this is what Laura said, is that it gives us more flexibility and more ability to steer people's time into topic work where we can both through with the air district and without the air district, we can actually figure out what we think. I mean, wait till the Chevron 8 health risk assessment comes down and you're looking at a 200-page document that basically explains that Chevron is really responsible for, a lot of the public health problems that we are concerned about. But to master that document, to really know what it tells us and demand what we think we can demand based on it. How do we do that if we don't take the time, to talk about it together? So I don't think it's a job for a 30-person meeting, I don't, it's more, let's get 10 people who want to talk about 1118 and health risk assessments, that kind of thing. I mean,
Thank you, Jeff. Sorry to cut you off. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot to say here. We're coming close to end of time. Per your point here. And I'm raising my hand as Nancy Peace, not as your co-lead or your facilitator. Here's my concern, which is very in line with, some of the things we have going on. We will need full we will need full CSC meeting action, voting, um, um, quorum in order to get work moved. Should we go quarterly, right? My other concern that I want to ensure that's notated is having these quote unquote topical meetings or special meetings to a year within the co-lead spectrum of the work that we've done. That doesn't seem like enough. Having this special meeting, there's only two available a year, I don't think will be enough. I think there needs to be some um, processes where it's not so stringent or strict, or because if, for example, if we were to do a special meeting for voting, if something else comes down the line that we need a quick turnaround on based on a rule happening, so what, we can't meet then? We don't have we've used up two special meetings, now we can't meet again. And then my other concern um, are topical working groups, working sessions. Um, I want to ensure that if we come together to educate ourselves about monitoring or legal team or whatever, like, yeah, Sean is our liaison for legal, but I'm not going to expect him to have all the answers, right? That just seems like a lot of work being put on the liaisons, and we can't assume that their capacity is there to run a topical working session. So I do definitely know that we need to flesh that all out. I think what's going to be important, and I wonder if this is something, Laura, you can talk to. Once you flesh out the processes, it becomes an action item that we vote yes. We decided to go this route, and now, yes, we're going to do this processing, right? Because I'm still concerned um, that I do not want to see our community somehow, some way, not that this is what you're trying to do, but things can happen. We get etched out of, we get etched out because we're not meeting as often, we're not communing, we're not coming together as often, and then processes doesn't, you know, I just need to ensure that we are right there with y'all as a partnership voting saying, yes, we will bring it back and you all can do the action item with quorum to say yes to this process. Because, and again, I'm always honest with all of you. Air District historically has not always been community centered and community focused. And I just, to think that, oh, they'll take care of us. Yes, in theory you do, but at the same time, not without all the voices of all of us here. And we're going on. And please don't take that personal in any way, staff. It's just historically working with governmental agencies, we've been burned, right? Not including the 6 years. I'm just putting it out there. I know I went over time and we're going over time. So I just wanted to put that out there. And Laura, go ahead because I know you probably have a lot to.
Well, let me try really quick then, and just out of respect of time, we'll see about next steps. So totally hear everyone's concerns, fully valid, right? Like the idea here is to move to something different than what we're used to, and there are some unknowns there, and that can be something that's a little scary because you don't know exactly how it's going to look or turn out. And this plan has like a certain level of detail to it, right? But there are things that we need to flesh out as we move into 2026, how it actually works. What I can tell you though is like the air district is not gonna leave you like high and dry, right? If we try this out and it turns out like this is horrible, I hate this, right? Like we will have a conversation, right? So this is not like setting something in stone to the degree where like if it's not working, we can't come up with an alternative. So hopefully that is like enough kind of reassurance that like if we're willing to test this plan out based on all the discussions we've had, all the reflections we've had, the review so far, and kind of see how that works for us, will we work out some of the kinks and like the details of how it works, then, if that's enough to get us to like vote on this plan and be on board for 2026, then that's kind of what my hope would be. But this is, for you all to vote on, right? So maybe I can hand it back to you, Nancy. I know we're kind of getting close to time.
Yes, thank you, Laura. Um, I am going to so I'm gonna elicit my colleagues here with me, Dr. Martoso or Marisol, if you're available. Feedback, how do you all think we can look at moving forward with a vote and see if the CSC wants to try this, or do you all, I want to hear how we can pivot. Do we want to move forward and do a vote to move this forward? Does everyone feel that they're in a good place to do that? Or do we feel that we need to come together again with some other options, or like, thank you, Air District, but this is not, we're not ready to do this. Dr. Matoso, Marisol, can you give me some feedback on that? What do you think?
I think we should vote on the agenda item, and the results will let us know which way we should go.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Not seeing Sol's hand or hearing her voice. Can we get to that slide, please? Genevieve, to the, okay. Go back a little bit because we do need to do the, go back one. There we go. Thank you. Okay. So thank you, Dr. Matoso, for your feedback. See, you want to trust your co-leads. Public comment for anyone out there listening in. Carissa, you can let me know if there's anyone.
I don't see any hands on the the public side, Nancy.
Excellent, thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, so in order for us to vote on an action item, we would need a motion and a second.
I motion we recommend the Community Steering Committee approve Year 2 implementation plan. This is Dr. Motosho.
Thank you, Dr. Amatosho. Do we have a second? I see Jeff's hand.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, Carissa, we have a motion by Dr. Matroso, a second by Jeff. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
We sure can. So I'll get us started with you first, Nancy. So Nancy Aguirre.
Yes.
Okay. Ianad Burrell.
No.
Okay. Marisol Cantu. Okay, I will come back to Marisol. Sean Cotton.
No.
Brianna Gastelum.
Abstain.
Michelle Gomez Garcia.
Abstain.
Martha Gruel.
Yes.
Okay. Jeffrey Kilbreth.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Joseph Kaczynski.
Abstain.
Okay. Dr. Omoniyi Omotoso.
Yes.
Thank you. Simran Sandhu.
Yes.
Thank you. Dave Severy.
Yes.
Thank you. Darabo Shankut.
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay, thank you. Samir Shrestha. Samir Shrestha.
And you're still learning.
I think that was a no. Is that correct?
I did hear no, but I would
No.
want to ensure, because he did, that Samir cut off during a discussion.
Okay. Samir, can you please repeat your vote?
Yes.
You vote yes. Okay. And then Ariel Shi.
No.
No? Okay, so we have of the present voting members tonight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yeses. We have 4 noes, and we have 3 people abstaining from voting. So let me see what that means for whether or not this passes. Okay, I'm gonna come back to Marisol. Are you there and able to share your vote for this agenda item? Okay. So we are currently, I guess, tied between yeses and either noes or abstaining from voting. So with that, there's no clear majority on this item. So this item, this does not pass, unfortunately. So not sure if I should pass it back to you, Nancy, or if
Yeah.
Laura needs to speak to this.
Well, you could pass it back to me, unless, and then, so because we motioned, we got a second, we voted, the vote does not pass. So we will not be moving forward with that, but that doesn't mean that the Air District won't bring it back to us at our next meeting, right? So that just means we need more discussion and, the co-leads will debrief and then we will go from there. Laura, any feedback or anything you would like to?
No, I think you covered it well, right? We're at the end of the meeting, so we'll have to kind of regroup, determine next steps, and figure that out for how we move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Thank you, everyone. And so appreciate, this is why we do what we do, so that we ensure that nothing moves without all of y'all. So thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, so next meeting details, next slide. We have that. All right. So we did not have this. We have it to be determined because we were not sure how the vote would go forward. So we will most likely, because we did not vote for this action, we will fall back on our regular and have our January meeting, and we will send an email out on that next meeting. As you know, it's in person or Zoom. I think we need to check holidays on that. And then Carissa, are there any self-tracking hours or any kind of updates that you need to let the CSC know?
Yes, just want to let folks know that if you have hours to report for the month of December, the deadline is going to be January 2nd at 5 p.m. And then I also just wanted to make a quick plug. I did send out an email shortly before this meeting started, but I shared a flyer to an event that is happening tomorrow from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Supervisor John Joya is co-hosting a community holiday party to support West County's children. And so they're going to have a drive to help North Richmond Verde School students get free books and sweaters. And they're also going to be collecting non-perishable foods. So the flyer that I shared via email does have more information about that event and how to contribute or donate or stop by and say hi. So that's it for me.
Great. Thank you, Carissa. Do we have one more slide, I believe? Public comment on non-agenda matters. Is there anyone out there that has anything they want to share? No? Okay. I will say this. Debut, once you know, you send us an email. We're very excited for you. First time, Grandpa. Thank you for sharing that news with us. We can't wait to hear when it's official. And I think that'll be all. If you have any other comments or anything about today's meeting and this vote, feel free to email co-leads and staff, and we will ensure to include all of that on the feedback back to Laura. And I wish all of you a very safe holiday, and I hope you all have a wonderful time with your family, and thank you for all your hard work this past year so far. Dr. O, want to share anything with our team, our CSE?
Nothing else to add. No.
Okay. All right. Well, we're tardy, but anyway, thank you.
Wait, there's an announcement from M&M.
Okay. Laura, we have an announcement for M&M.
Remember, we sent out the email about the opportunity for liaisons for the new refinery fence
Yes.
working group. So I know we're over time, but anybody want to reply to the email if you're interested? I guess I'm still on, so if people want to say it right now, but what do you think, Nancy? What's the best way?
Yes, look at the email if you're interested in monitoring. Um, let reply all. Let your co-leads know. And we can give you more information. It's a liaison position. I believe we're looking up to 2 people on monitoring. Sorry, I did forget about that. My fault. All right. Thank
Thank you.
you, everyone. Have a great evening. Bye.